Hi, readers. This lesson is dedicated to complicated characters. And I want to start by just saying that something I'm noticing is that often when we talk about character traits, how they're complicated and they're like, we're talking about their feelings. But I have to tell you something that's pretty important. Feelings are not traits. Oh my God, what? Yeah, they're not traits. Feelings are actually just one of the ways that readers determine traits. They're like clues into the characters and what they're really like. So, for instance, let's say that I'm walking into school one day and my head's down and I tell you like I'm feeling off, or maybe you can just kind of like witness that by what I'm showing you on the outside, maybe through my actions. Maybe I say that to you, maybe I write about it. If this is a story about my life, maybe I say today was a really tough day. I really didn't feel myself. I was feeling really sad. But does that make me a sad character? I'm a lot of things, right? I'm more than just one way. I might have days where I'm feeling sad, but that doesn't make me sad. So when we're talking about character traits, especially in middle school, we're actually not talking about their feelings. We're talking about even more than that. So I want to remind you that readers determine character traits by studying character behavior. Feelings are just part of that. So they do this by paying attention to what the character says, does, thinks, and feels. Then they use patterns of behavior to say what the kind of person or character they are. So if I show you every day that I'm sad, like I'm feeling down, maybe you could say that I'm sad. But from what you've probably seen of me so far, I'm often not sad, actually. I'm often pretty positive, energetic. And so I think that if I were to be labeled as being sad, I'd feel like misrepresented, that you'd be using one of my feelings that doesn't stay with me all the time, but describing me as that as if it's one of my traits when it's not. So let me just show you how I do this when we're thinking about complex characters. For instance, Oren. Oren, we've said, is insecure. So to get some really good evidence, let's go into the text thinking specifically how we want to use behavior patterns and what he says, does, thinks, and feels. So what are some ways that Oren shows this? What are some things that he thinks? I remember in the very beginning, I'm using the same color coding here. In the very beginning, he thinks that he'll make a fool of himself. He says that he thinks he'll look like a bum when he's playing lacrosse. That could definitely be some evidence that's staying in line with his inner thinking, but also showing that he's feeling maybe some insecurity there. I also see that he talks about his feelings. Instead, what he felt inside his chest seemed like a lump of lead. He's actually revealing his feelings to us right then and there on the page. He's feeling upset. But if I were to talk about him being a complicated character or his traits, could I say that he's upset? Could I say that he's feeling like a bum? No, I want to actually put those together and see what it really means. So far, I'm kind of collecting a pattern here. So he's feeling upset. He's thinking he'll make a fool of himself. What are some other behaviors that show that he's insecure? Maybe let's see if there's anything that he does or says. He's feeling like he wants to be bigger. Remember, he's talking to his when he's with his grandfather later in the story. He's thinking to himself about how he wants to be big as the other kids. He's waiting for a growth spurt. So in this, we have some evidence revealed to us through his thinking and his feelings, his motivation maybe, or his wants. He actually says out loud to his grandfather that he doesn't deserve any praise at all, that he's actually a fraud, which is a fake. Also on the field, I have some evidence from his actions that he's often looking at other players, studying what they do. So here's what I did. I turned my observations into a little chart here. I'm backing up Oren's insecurity with a variety of details. And rather than just using his feelings as what he is, I'm actually using that as part of my research into the character. I'm studying the character's behavior, what he says, does, thinks, and feels. All of those things together can then help me to say that he's insecure. Now I have sufficient information, evidence to back that up. So here's what I want you to do today. I want you to spend some more time with this thinking work. I want you to go into your book club book and decide what you are going to look into. Maybe you're going to start by just looking into characters and what they're like. Maybe you're just going to be looking at their behavior, like how I was. What does your character say, think, feel, and do? And then how does all of that tell you what the character is like? What could all of that reveal in their as a trait? Or maybe you've already been reading your story a bit. So you already have a trait in mind, not a feeling, a trait, a characteristic. So then you're going back into the text to find details of what they say, think, feel, and do. Or maybe you've read the whole text already and you're finished or you're nearing the end. Maybe you want to chart across the text about what the character says, does, thinks, and feels. The point is here that we don't talk about character traits as if they're feelings, because that's just part of how we figure out what they're really like. So today, when you're working, I'd like you to be choosing one of the ways to take notes in your notebook, using your book club book to probably reread a part or maybe read on, collecting information that gives you some well-rounded evidence, behavioral patterns. So that way you can really say what the character is like because you've done some sufficient research into the different kinds of clues. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Be sure to use my examples from my notebook as ways for you to get started in yours. Good luck. Remember, characters are complicated, just like us.